Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite science tutor, Okorosa Ernest. In today's video we shall be looking at quadratic equation, mathematics. The topic is on quadratic equation. So we shall begin by defining what a quadratic equation is. We have series of equations, we have linear equations, quadratic equations, cubic equations, quartic equations. But for the scope of this class, we shall be focusing on quadratic equation. An equation of the form ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 is what we term quadratic equation. Inversely, it means that the highest power of the unknown is always raised to the power of 2, meaning we have 2 roots. So an equation of this sort, in which the highest power of x is raised to power 2, is what we call a quadratic equation. Now we have various types or methods of solving quadratic equation. Various methods, let's use methods. Various methods of solving quadratic equation. Methods of solving quadratic equation, one of which the first is factorization method. Factorization method. Number 2, we have the completing square method. Completing the square method. Thirdly, we have the use of formula as a formula method. The use of formula. Formula is what we call quadratic formula. And finally, the fourth one, we have the use of graphs. The use of graphs. That is one we call graphical method. For the scope of this class, we shall be focusing on the first, second, and third. And in due course, we will look at the use of graphs, depending on how students reciprocate. So for today, we shall focus on the factorization method for this video. Now, factorization, there are 2 key words I want us to take note of. We have factorization, we also have solve. Now, factorization has to do with grouping. When we say factorize, to factorize an equation simply means group. Factorization simply means grouping. But when we are saying solve a quadratic equation, it means finding the roots of the unknown. Finding the roots of the unknown. So take note of these 2 words. Most times students tend to misuse them. So we shall be focusing on the first aspect, factorization. How do we factorize? How do we handle quadratic equation by factorization? So we shall look at a series of examples on how we can factorize. So let's take example. Example, we solve by factorization. Solve by factorization. We have 3x squared plus 7x plus 4 equals 0. You see, it's equated to 0. That is why we have solve. That means we are factorizing at the same time solving. We are factorizing. At the end of the day, we are going to have the roots of the equation. So we are solving by factorization. So how do we go about it? Now let's begin. Now from this equation, we have the coefficient of x squared is 3. The coefficient of x is a plus 7, and then we have a constant term comparing ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You can see the constant term is 4, b represents 7, and then our a term represents 2. Now in factorization, step 1, we are going to multiply the first and the last term. The first and the last term. the coefficient of x here, x squared here is 3, the last term is 4. So I'm going to pick the first term and the last term, and then I'll multiply them together. That's the first term. So it means I'll have 3x squared times plus 4. That gives me 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have x squared. Remember, it is on the positive side. Plus 12x squared. Plus 12x squared. The product of the first and the last product means multiplication. The next thing I'll do, I'm going to find two numbers such that when I add them together, it's going to give me a plus 12. Their product is plus 12 already, but when I add them together, it's going to give me a plus 12. We think of two numbers, so I'm going to say 1 and 12, 3 times 4, 2 times 6, what's more? 1 times 12 is 12, 3 times 4 is 12, 2 times 6 is 12. But the one we are most concerned about is the one that will give us the middle term, which is a plus 7. Out of the 3 that I've listed, the one that will do well for this problem is the one that will give us the middle term. That is B. It's going to give us a plus 7. You see, 12 and 1 is far from it, so it is impossible. 2 and 6 is far from it, so it is impossible. Now take a look at 3 and 4. If I add 3 plus 4, it's going to give me a 7. 3 and 4 gives me a 7. 3 times 4 gives me a plus 12. That means I'm going to introduce a plus here and a plus here. So plus 3x plus 4x will give me plus 7x, the middle term. Why? Plus 3x times plus 4x will give me the product, plus 12x squared. That is what the first step is talking about. Now we move to the next step. After I have figured out the first step, the two numbers, I'm going to replace these terms. I'm going to replace these terms into the equation. So wherever I see plus 7x, I'm going to be using plus 3x and plus 4x. So I'm going to get something like this. 3x squared, which is this. In place of plus 7x, now I'll be using plus 3x plus 4x, because this plus this will give me 7. And then I'm left with plus 4 equals 0. That is step 2. Step 2. The next step, after I have done step 2, step 3 is to group terms. I'm going to group them 2 by 2. So I take the first 2 and the second 2. So the first 2 gives me 3x squared plus 3x. I'm going to group them. Plus the next 2 gives me 4x plus 4. I'm also going to group them and equates to 0. That is step 3. Now after I have grouped, I am going to factorize. So step 4 simply says factorize. What does it mean? It means I'm going to collect like terms out of the bracket and then group the remaining. It means I'm going to collect like terms out of the bracket and then group the remaining. Now I consider what are like terms here. I have 3x on both sides, so I will bring out 3x and open bracket. X will be left plus 1, because 3x times 1 gives me 3x. 3x times x gives me 3x squared. I have a plus here. Between these two, 4 is a common factor. So I bring out 4 and then I also have x plus 1. So that 4 times x is 4x, then 4 times 1 is 4. All equal to 0. At this point, you notice that you have similar terms in brackets. what is here is also here. So at the end of the day, you are going to pick one of it, x plus 1, because it is here and it is here. And then what is remaining? I have 3x plus 4, so I have 3x plus 4 all equal to 0. The first term will be, this simply means x plus 1 equals 0, or 3x plus 4 equals 0. Now from here, we have x to be equal to 0 minus 1. When I cross plus 1 over, I also have 3x to be equal to minus 4. When plus 4 crosses over, at the end of the day, 0 minus 1, x is equal to minus 1, or x is equal to, divide both sides by 3, I have minus 4 over 3. Final result, at the end of the day, we have been able to obtain the roots of the equation by solving using factorization. So x is equal to minus 1, or x is equal to minus 4 over 3. So watch out for my next video, where I shall be taking you through other methods of solving quadratic equation. Don't forget, if you are new to this channel, do well to subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and hit the notification bell. To my returning subscriber, I want to say big thank you. I really appreciate it.